All right, guys. So we got this this thing pretty torn down. We got to split the cases on it still, but the clutch, everything looked really good in the clutch. I really don't think anybody's ever been in here because every person that's ever taken one of these apart knows that everybody literally rounds those off. So those haven't been touched. None of this stuff has ever been taken apart. I can tell. I mean, if you look at everything, bolts and all that stuff, none of it has been messed with. It's a shame that this thing had coolant sitting in it and whipped out that crank, but good news is no water was in the oil. At least, I don't think so. But it seems to be good, so we're just gonna keep chugging along on this thing, get it taken down, get a parts list going, see what we can get. And I talked to a buddy of mine, and I think we're gonna end up welding that in and smoothing it out so that O-ring can seat in there. Of course, we'll probably have to bend that tab there, but it should be good. It might have to be sleeved. I'm not sure yet. I need to hone it out more, get some of the rust out of there and really take a look at it. But so far so good. All the clutch looks good, all the bearings feel good, everything's looking good so far. So all right, guys, we got the case split on this thing. All the bearings look really good, they feel really good, there's no noise in them, they feel real smooth. And then there's the crank bearings. Look at that. So yeah, you can see plain as day the water line in there from where the guy let all the coolant seep past the rings and go into here. But all the transmission was full of oil, and luckily the gaskets were all good, didn't leak, and it never got any water in the trans, so that's awesome. But you can see this one is completely locked up. I mean, I can't even move that one. So, and all the bearings feel good over here too. I'm trying to take apart as little as I can, just because there's no real sense in taking them all apart when I know there was no water in here. And all the bearings feel great. There's no sense in me even taking it apart. So I just got the shift forks out of it, the shift drum, and then some of the gears out of it. But this thing's going to be a pain, as always, to put together. But so, yeah. I swear this bench is somewhat organized. Not really, but you know what? When I put this thing together, I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to check all the diagrams and make sure, just in case some guy did happen to go into this engine at some time, lose something, and not put it back. But as so far, I can tell them I don't think anybody's been in here, but, you know, some professional shops change all the bolts and stuff like that and do a really nice job. So I will definitely be using a parts diagram and making sure that everything is put where it's supposed to be and everything has the right washers and fasteners and spec and everything on this. So you can see I got the crank here. Still has the keyway in there. I can take it out, but I'm not going to. Yeah, it's gonna need to be cleaned up a bit. And in all honesty, this rod bearing has no vertical play at all, and it's actually really smooth, and there's no moisture that got on there. So you can see the water line actually, where it just barely was touching that rod bearing. But if you actually look in here and look at that rod bearing, there is zero rust or anything throughout the whole bearing, and it's smooth as butter with no play. So, but I'm gonna do a little further inspection on that and just make sure, because if it's not in running condition, then I'm going to send the crank out and get that pin pressed out and a new bearing and washers put in there and balanced. But I'd like to avoid that if I can, but I'm definitely not going to cut corners on this thing and have that rod bearing go out, you know, 2-3 hours after rebuilding it, because that's just no fun. So, all right, I'll get to taking these crank bearings out of here. I've got the new ones in the freezer right now, so yeah, I'll get these bearings out of there, stick the new bearings in, get some new seals in there, and decide what I want to do with that crank, and then we'll put it together.